What is going on, everybody? It is Jordan back with the Residual Earners podcast. We are happy to be here today. This is episode number 13. I'm Jordan.
I'm Presley.
And you're not going to want to miss what we got on dock today. You know, it's going to be kind of a deep dive into the history of Presley and mine's relationship, kind of where, you know, when I was a kid, all the way up through now, from father-son to father-friend to father business partner. You know, we've seen so much kind of different areas that I don't feel like is common for a lot of father-son pairs. It definitely happens, but I think it'd be real interesting for y'all, a lot of y'all, to know us a little better, know us a little deeper, and kind of dive into kind of who made me who I am today, I guess.
I guess I had something to do with that, huh?
You had something to do with it.
Your mother had something to do with it.
Mother
too.
also had a lot to do with it.
You know, we probably need to get her on one of these. That could be interesting.
It's a wild card. Not one usually in front of the cameras, but definitely. So, what's going on with you though? What's new? What's been happening?
Well, I don't know if you knew this, but my grandson had a hat trick last night.
Grayson did have a hat trick. That's big news for the Swaggerty family.
Yeah. For you guys that don't know, Jordan has a son named Grayson, and he's a hockey player of all the sports. I played football, baseball, basketball, and a little soccer. I never played hockey, but I'm learning hockey now. But Grayson's kind of like he's only 6, but he's pretty much a stud.
He's also a lacrosse player.
Also a lacrosse, and if there's a sport that I know less about than hockey, it's probably lacrosse.
The big family surprise is Willa and her dominance on the soccer field.
Oh.
It's bizarre. She is the sweetest, cutest little thing, and when she gets out there, she goes.
You know, 2 games ago, they scored 4 goals, and she had 3 of them. This last game that we went to, my gosh, she probably had 6 goals. I mean, it's been kind of crazy. And you're right, little Willa is mild, meek, just tries to make everybody happy, but it's kind of fun watching her when she gets out there on the soccer field. She's a different woman.
Well, the one with the 4 goals and she scored 3, the big deal there was the other team scored 1 of the 4. So she was the only one that scored on her team that day.
Yeah, and by the way, she's 4 years old, guys.
She's 4 years old.
4 years old. So it's good. Well, why don't we get this thing going now that we've talked about the kids' highlights? And Tatum's only 2, or we'd be giving you more. She's not on a team yet, but she will be.
Definitely. So, you know, I think it'd be interesting, and I know people that have followed you for years, followed Residual Earners for the last couple months, have a good idea of your upbringing. When you're on stage, I know you talk about it quite often, but kind of give a little background on your upbringing and kind of the stuff that molded you into the man you are today.
Well, all right. Grew up, well, you know, I can even go all the way back to the very beginning. I'm adopted. A 14-year-old girl got pregnant, and my mom adopted me the day I was born, came and got me, and I was literally born in a house right behind H. Grady Spruce High School, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
You were born in a house?
I was born in a house. I was not born in a hospital.
You remember anything of that day?
No, don't remember a thing about that day, but that's kind of crazy to think about it. And here's something what's wild. I went to Spruce, obviously, and the house was literally right behind. We used to run around the whole school kind of in conditioning for basketball, and I'm sure I saw what would be my biological grandparents out doing stuff and had no idea. But anyway, Mom got me. Then I grew up in Pleasant Grove. Didn't have a dad really involved in my life. He left when I was 9. He was an alcoholic. And it was just me and Mom from that point forward. And grew up in the ghettos. Mom didn't have any money. I mean, she worked in sewing factories and school cafeterias, didn't make any money. Amazing lady, though, godly lady. I mean, Jordan, you know, loved his Gigi. But just because of her, I am who I am. I mean, that's just the way it is. She taught me everything that I knew. She came to as many games as she could, not working when I was playing sports. She and I had a great relationship. It was more than just a traditional mom-son deal, because it was just her and I battling the world for so many years there. And then played basketball. That's what kind of got me through. I had lots of chances when I was young to go down the wrong road, lots of drugs. Growing up, I mean, it was an era when, there was just lots of drugs going around in the neighborhood I lived in. Drugs were prevalent. But for whatever reason, because of basketball, I didn't go down the drug route. Won't say I never had a drink or something, but didn't get into drugs, thank the Lord. And it was basketball that kind of held me true. Loved basketball. My coaches were my role models. I didn't have the dad, so they were my role models, and I was blessed. Had a black gentleman named Henry Warren that I loved to death when I was in middle school. Coach J.D. Mayo was my JV coach, who to this day I'm still buds with. And then John Paul Fultz was my varsity coach, just a mountain of a man, but a good moral man. And that was where I got my undergirding, if you will, was through those men.
What about Uncle Dude? Because didn't he teach you to shoot a basketball?
No, that was Aunt Ruby that taught me how to shoot a basketball.
Is that why you shoot it two-handed?
That's why I was underhanded for a while. My mom's sister, who was about 20 years older than my mom, got out in the backyard when I first started shooting, and she had played basketball back, I guess with peach baskets, I don't know. But anyway, she taught me how to shoot underhanded. And then her son, Uncle Jack, came to town. He was really a cousin, but he was so much older than me, I called him Uncle Jack. He actually taught me how to shoot one-handed, because my 8th grade coach told me, if you don't get where you can shoot one-handed, you're not going to be on my team. So Uncle Jack taught me how to shoot one-handed. And then because of all of that, and I realized what impact my coaches had on me, I ended up becoming a coach. I actually started college thinking I might want to be a lawyer, but it didn't take me long to realize that I didn't want to study that hard at that point.
You have to read.
You got to read a whole lot. And my first about year and a half, I'm trying to make all A's because I knew you had to have good. And I thought, I can't go through years of this. So I ended up being switching and becoming a basketball coach. And I thank the Lord I did, because I loved what I did. But that's kind of how I got going in life.
What about
basketball.
Uncle Dude? He played a part in your life.
Uncle Dude was Mom's brother. And
what was Uncle Dude's actual name?
Otham Monroe. They had some names back then. Otham Monroe, we called him Uncle Dude, D-U-D-E, Uncle Dude. And I think he got that name because he always dressed nice and he kind of looked like a dude. But he was a big influence. I used to work with him as a carpenter's helper and do stuff like that. He was a big influence on my life. And then his son, Manny, probably had the biggest influence on my success financially of anybody, because out of our family wasn't a lot of people that had a lot of success, but Manny did. And as I was growing up, I realized I wanted to be like Manny. I mean, I wanted to live in the nice house and drive the nice cars. And Manny kind of showed me that somebody from our family could make it. And I really believe I'm sitting here, us doing this podcast, and all we do is because of Manny showing the way.
Did you have some roofing jobs back in the day?
I have roofed houses, and believe me, it was before they had the nail guns. I mean, you had a big pouch with bunches of nails, and you just slung those shingles and hammered them down. And I mean, yeah, I've roofed houses before. I've helped pour concrete in the summer when it was like 102, and when that truck rolls up and that concrete starts coming out of it, you can't take a break or it'll start setting up. I mean, you just have to.
You're pot committed at that point.
You are in, and my gosh, that was probably the hardest. I worked for another Uncle Bill, doing the concrete work, and that was probably the hardest job I've ever had, because obviously it was when I was off of school in the summer, so it's hotter than snot. And you're out there with concrete, and it was almost like somebody had a water hose on your head. When you'd be looking down working, water's just pouring, the sweat. Tough job.
It sounds so. We got a good history of kind of, now we're through college? How'd you meet mom? How'd that get going?
One of the counselors at school just kept saying, "You need to meet this girl. You need to ask her out. You need to." Well, I'd gone out on a couple of blind dates in my life, and they didn't go too well. Either they were very pretty but had the personality of a cucumber, or had a great personality and didn't look quite like I wanted. So I just wasn't into blind dates. So I put Joyce Farrell was her name. I put Joyce off for months. But ever so often she'd bring it up, and I thought, okay, I'm going to get her to shut up. I'm going to take this Jeannie girl to lunch or something. So I called up Jeannie. Joyce had give me her number, and obviously told her I might be calling. And we went to over on Chili's. We went to Chili's over in Richardson and had lunch, and we kind of hit it off. We started dating pretty regular after that. 3 months later, I asked her to marry me. 3 months later, we were married, and this October 13th, it'll be 40 years that we've been together. She deserves a medal for putting up with me. So.
That's bizarre. This is a bit off topic, but when I was going to the camera store, and I feel like this is a big part of your life, do you know what restaurant was over? This is like Oak Lawn area. Exit Oak Lawn, go a mile, turn right on some street. Do you know what old school diner was over there?
There was a Mama's Daughter's Diner over there. Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah.
It didn't look open, though.
I don't know. I think it still is, though.
All the signage was up, everything. It looked like it should be open, but I didn't see anybody there. It didn't look run down or anything like that.
By the way, guys, that's Jordan's favorite restaurant is Mama's Daughter's Diner.
No, if you want success tips for raising kids, don't take your kid to one restaurant every single day because it burns them out and they never want to eat there again.
Oh.
Which is sad because I think Mama's Daughter's Diner is a great place. But
yeah, no, I love it. I still to this day love it. I was kind of
force-fed.
You know, I think why I loved it, though, or why I love it, present tense, is that growing up, everything was home cooking.
Yeah.
And when you go to Mama's Daughter's Diner, it is home cooking. And it just reminds me of stuff Mom would, pinto beans and cornbread and all that sort of stuff. I loved it.
It's also affordable. I feel like everything in this day and age is getting kind of out of hand.
Yeah, considering what we ate sushi yesterday and spent $100.
That's cheap compared to
for lunch.
Compared to Oishi, where we usually go.
I mean, so
okay, so met mom, you've had Sarah Beth. Now your first boy is on the way. Give me a little breakdown, a little rundown of what's going through your head at that point in time.
Well, somehow your mother thinks she has a recipe for boys and girls. And
can't be proven.
It can't be proven, but I'll say this:
this is not scientific.
It worked out for her because she wanted the girl first, and so supposedly she did this recipe, and then she did the recipe for you, and supposedly a boy came out. But the two of the most amazing days of my life, outside of marrying Jeannie and then giving my life to the Lord, the next days are just Sarah Beth and Jordan being born. And I was blessed. I got to be in the room when the little boogers popped out. Sarah Beth came out, and she was a cute little girl when she popped out. I think she weighed like 7 pounds 10 ounces or something like that. And when Jordan popped out, he weighed a little under 11 pounds. And, you look how slender he is now. He looked like a sumo wrestler when he popped out. It was kind of crazy. But obviously, you can look at him, look at me, and tell that he wasn't fathered by a sumo wrestler. He was fathered by me. But amazing times. I mean, I couldn't have been any happier when Sarah Beth was born. And then obviously to have a son, I was just blessed beyond measure and more excited than I could stand.
So obviously, every parent, whether they want to admit it or not, kind of has a path they want their son to kind of take. When you had me at that age, where were you thinking I would end up, where I would go, what I would do?
Well, as a baby, I had no idea because, I taught for 16 years, and I realized there is all different kinds, all different talents, all different personalities, all different everything. So I realized that I needed you to develop a little more before I could kind of tell what was going on and which direction to go. Because, if you would have loved music, that would have been great with me too. If you would have loved just being a smart guy, that would have been, you learn when you have a kid, you're going to love them no matter what. And I mean, you got 3 now, you get that. But it was real evident. I was still coaching basketball when Jordan came along, so I would take his playpen up to the gym on open nights. I'd open the gym up a couple of nights a week for the guys to just come and have free play, and Jordan would be in the corner in his playpen, and then he got big enough he could kind of run around out there dribbling a little bit, and then next thing you know, he's out there with the guys warming up, and I mean, it became evident that athletically you were talented.
Yeah.
And then basketball was the first thing, and then started playing baseball when you were 3 on a T-ball team. Sarah Beth was 5, you were 3, and you could tell then that you had some ability, good eye-hand coordination. And then you played some football, you played a little soccer, you played some of everything, and you were pretty gifted in all those areas. But I was smart enough to know from my upbringing, I love basketball, but a 5'11" guy that's not just crazy quick, your options of doing anything big time are pretty limited.
Did you just admit to being under 6 foot?
I'm 5'11". I'm not 6 foot.
That may be the first time in my life I've heard you say that you're 5'11".
Well, okay, I'm finally coming to grips with reality.
And the other thing you have to come to grips with is your shoe size is not the same as mine. That's the other thing.
I think mine may be a little bigger.
That's the other thing you got to come to terms with.
My feet.
He steals my shoes.
My feet have got bigger.
It's come to some knockdown throwouts of him stealing my things.
If we had more time, I would go into that one story, but I'm not because we don't have time. I've provided this kid with everything from his underwear to his vehicles, and I got one pair of his shoes and put on, and he had a cow. And understand, there was probably 30 pair of shoes in his closet. It wasn't like that I was getting his only pair of tennis shoes.
All still boxed up.
All still boxed up. But anyway, I don't even know where I was. What was I? Oh, a kid. And then, I knew that chances are, you're probably 6'1" or whatever. I knew that you weren't going to be 6'8". So baseball kind of, you could have played anything. I would have loved it. But you liked baseball, and obviously I started helping you. And then it became real apparent that you were real good at baseball. I mean, like real good. And ended up, as a young guy playing on some of the best teams, select teams there were, winning World Series, all that stuff. And then high school became National Player of the Year. Arizona State became an All-American, set the single-season saves record at Arizona State, and then got drafted in the second round by the Cardinals. So
you never, every time, which I don't like that he throws it out there, but you never talk about the Olympic team.
And he made the USA team, which is probably my proudest moment when your kid's out there on the field with the USA jersey on and they start playing the national anthem. I mean, I teared up at every game. It was pretty amazing, yes.
That was pretty cool. And I won't go into that too much, but I was brought on more as a catcher in that tournament and played all but I think the first game. And the other catcher was a high first-round draft pick out of high school, and the only reason I played is because he got in trouble in the hotel. Do you remember that?
Yeah, through water balloons or something.
Throwing stuff
off
the balcony and hitting cars, so I got to play, and I was like, this guy was an absolute stud. And I was going to be the backup catcher, and ended up getting to play most games just because he got in trouble, which is kind of funny. But all right, so now we've made it through there. Now I'm grown up. That's where I think the friendship was always there, but once I got to college pro ball, that's kind of when the friendship started to form. Why don't you go into a little detail on that?
Well, the relationship changes as your kids get older. I mean, it just does. I think when they're probably middle school on down, it is you're going to do what I say, period. And then kind of when they get in high school, it's you're going to do what I say, but I'll give you a little leeway, because you can tell that he was becoming his own man. I mean, he was, having his own thoughts. And my gosh, I'd raised him in church. He was a good guy. I was there when he walked down the aisle and gave his heart and life to Jesus. I mean, I knew he had a good heart. I knew he was a good guy. And then obviously things really changed when your kid can start driving. That is a big deal, because before, I went to all the practices, all the games. I mean, I was there and I drove him, and he and I, that was our one-on-one time. I mean, we just talked about whatever, because we were in the car. Sometimes we'd be driving out to Ark Park, which was an hour and 10 minutes away.
That was a brutal drive.
That was a long way out there. But that's when we talked. But when Jordan got his driver's license and he started driving, it changed. I mean, the time together changed, the one-on-one time changed. And so I'm telling you right now, when your kid gets their driver's license, things start changing. And I never worried about Jordan doing something crazy, but you don't really know exactly what they're doing now, because they're driving themselves, they're going out to eat after, they're whatever, But and then when he got in college, he's his own man at that point in time. You still got a little influence on him. I'm going to tell this story. I'm big on respect. I'm big on not talking back. I'm big on, that's just how I was raised, and I didn't tolerate it as a coach. And
I don't know where this is going.
You'll remember this. We lived in Flower Mound at this time, and Jordan's in a car, and I'm in a car, and I don't even remember what the topic was. But he got smart alecky with me, and we're driving towards our house. And I mean, he'd got pretty cocky with me for a couple of minutes there. And he's probably a sophomore or something at ASU. And we pulled into the driveway. I could not get out of the car fast enough. And I remember walking up to Jordan, and I said, "You may be 20 years old," and I'm tapping him in his chest. But I said, "I'm still your dad, and you're not going to talk cocky to me." And I mean, I was pretty fired up at that point in time. And I think that's really the last time that I got on to Jordan. I mean, because again, he was a man at that time. He was probably 20 years old, but I wanted to make the point that I'm still your dad. Last time I ever had to do that. I don't think we've had any kind of conversations like that again where he got, I thought, out of control. But that was just one of them. And then,
there was one other. I don't remember a ton getting in trouble. I know I did when I messed up, but on Kingsbridge, did we have a ping pong table in the living room?
Yeah, because we didn't have a lot of extra space there.
Why did Mom allow that? I cannot believe, looking back on that, she allowed it. But you kept beating me, because Presley wouldn't let me win anything when I was a small kid. And I told him he sucked one time after he beat me. And you got so mad at me. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that one. No,
you never let me win.
No, I mean, I wasn't one of those guys that was going to just let his kid win. He had to earn it.
And now I do that with Grayson, and he freaking hates it.
Yeah, I mean, and we used to play one-on-one basketball all the time. And, for the first, 16 years of his life, I'd kick his butt. I mean, he'd win one occasionally, but I'd kick his butt mainly. And then it got for like 3 years there where, it was just a dog fight. And we would compete, and we're knocking the fire out of each other. And then it got where he's winning most of the time, because he was on that upward course as a professional athlete, and I'm getting older at that point in time. I still remember the last time we played basketball.
This is a complete lie.
It is not a complete lie. This is the gospel
Presley
truth,
doesn't lie, people, but he lies on this.
No,
I think he just wants it so bad that he's going to tell y'all something completely not true.
This is a fact. I was having one of those days. My strong suit in basketball was I could shoot. I could shoot a basketball.
One of those days in a wheelchair out there.
I'm having one of those days where everything I threw up went in, and I beat him. Now, this has probably been 8 years ago. I don't know. It's been a while back.
I hate to say this, but don't believe everything you hear. on this podcast now.
Anyway,
It's out the door.
you know, one other thing I'll throw out that used to be fun is that I was in my 40s. He's 12 years old or something, and I mean, he won the state hoop shoot contest, made 48 out of 50 free throws. I mean, Jordan could shoot a basketball like I could. Actually, probably was a little better than I was. I hate to say that, but I'll say it now. But we would go in and we'd play 2-on-2 with some guys that you know, you could tell they thought they were studly, you know, and they'd want, hey, y'all want to play, and you know, they just thought they were going to kick our butt. Well, Jordan and I knew how to play. I'm setting screens, he's shooting. If they doubled on him, I shot. I mean, we'd win most of the time, and I'm talking about against guys in their 20s, 30s, good athletes, and we would beat them. And
Gold's Gym.
Oh, Gold's Gym and
Little Gym.
I would.
I remember those. Those were fun days.
We would be walking out, going back out to the lobby, and I'd tell whoever we were playing, listen, I'm not going to tell anybody that an old man and a kid beat you, so don't worry about it. You know, I wanted to rub it in just a little bit, but we had a lot of fun doing that too.
So, well,
what's the next phase of our life here?
so it's father, son, growing up, getting in trouble, doing all that, and that's now we're talking more of the friendship side. And then, you know, we got 10 more minutes on the podcast, but let's go into the business side a little bit, which in a lot of cases doesn't work out for relationships. It's a different side of things that becomes much more serious, and kind of how have we navigated. It's not always been sunny skies. You know, there's been rain and clouds, but we always seem to get back to the sun. And one thing, through good and bad, the thing I respect most about, or not the most about you, but I respect a lot, you know, we've always been in it together, and it's not one-sided. It's nothing like that. We both take responsibility. We've never had a big blow up when it comes to business and thoughts and ideas and directions we should go and what we should do, which I think goes back to the friendship we have, the respect levels we have, and you know, it seemed to work well, even, you know, in a business sense.
Yeah, and I'm going to back up just kind of in between friendship and business here. As he became his own man and he got married, and he's making his own decisions, and you know, he would ask for my advice on this, that, or the other, or I may just want to be giving him some advice, but. I learned, and I think this is a good way to play it for you folks with kids, and that is, I would just look at him and I'd say, you know, you're a grown man, you can make your own decisions. Here's my thoughts, though, and I just wanted to make it clear that I'm not trying to tell him how to do things. This is not me forcing something on him. You're a grown man, you can make your own decisions, but here's what I think. And I think that's a good way to approach it when you're talking to your kids, is that, you know, just let them know how you're thinking. I think we need to let them, because I've got, 31 years more experience in this world than he does. And, you know, I'm not always right, by far, not always right, but I do it that way. Business-wise, it's always been a pleasure to work with Jordan, because to me, it's just amazing to get to work with your kid, and as you get older, you'll figure that out with Grace and Willa and Tatum.
And something I'll throw in there is, I've had more fun, you know, starting up some more ACN stuff, doing the podcast, hanging out in this format. I look forward to it, and like after we're done filming today, we're gonna go film some other stuff, and you know, I look forward to hanging out and doing this. I thought it's been a ton of fun, which is not the traditional business sense that we're usually in, but this is a blast as well.
Yeah. I can't wait to do these. Yeah. I mean, I have fun, and I was telling the folks on TikTok before, when you walked out for a minute, that, you know, it's I've learned stuff about you. I'm guessing you might have learned some stuff about me.
I found out you were born in a house. And I also learned Uncle Dude's full name that I can't remember anymore.
Otha Monroe. But anyway, and business, we've handled it pretty well. I mean, you know, we butted heads a couple of times, but I mean, nothing crazy. And understand, when Jordan says we've had some days that weren't sunny, I'm telling you, we've had some days that it was a hurricane coming through. But you know, we we handle it. I mean, it is what it is. We still respect each other. We figure out ways to work through it, and our relationship has grown stronger, I think, because of all the trials and tribulations. I think you grow more when it's bad times. I think you learn more when it's bad times. I always tell everybody that I either win or learn, and we've gone through a bunch of learning times in business, because when you're going into something you don't know like the back of your hand, there's going to be some learning curves, and we missed some of the key points that we should have learned. And I've learned to pay more attention to details. I've learned to pay more attention to looking at percentages as well as just the total number of things. How much are you collecting percentage-wise to the whole portfolio? And I mean, things that, if you don't know the whole story, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but just stuff that Jordan and I have learned, and we've learned it together, and, we come out on top. I mean, we're going to keep plugging forward, and we've got, our network marketing business has been and will continue to be where we make the bulk of our money, but we've got other businesses going that are now thriving. Yeah. And, it's fun. We've got the auto hauling business that, we've got a 5-year plan that we plan on this thing going through the roof.
Definitely.
And we've been tracking on his business plan, and it's just fun, guys. I mean, if you can figure out a way to work with your kids, or if you're a kid, work with your parents, I'm just telling you, we have a blast doing it. It keeps us connected. It keeps us, we got a lot in common. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm most proud of this guy because he's a godly man. When we have problems in business, he's praying about it. I mean, it's something that I couldn't feel any prouder of the man he's become. And it's just been a blessing.
Well, I greatly appreciate that. But it definitely, when you go through certain things, it helps you enjoy the sunshine, the sunny days a lot more, and look forward to them and cherish them a lot more, because that it's not always like that. And you find that in business. There's no, there's the one in a millions that just take off from the get-go and everything's just always great. But most businesses, there's tough decisions to be made. You miss marks, things don't go as planned, and you got to figure out how to adapt and overcome. And the people that are most successful at the end of the day are the ones that do figure out how to adapt, keep trying to get ahead of the problem, work in the problem, and at the end come out on top, which is something I think we do, every day, which is fun.
If somebody tells you that no matter if it's traditional business or network marketing or whatever you get into, that there's always going to be issues.
Definitely.
I mean, just always going to be. And you just got to attack them head on and push through them. And like I said, you either win or you learn. And if you learn, then do better the next time. But my gosh, it's been a blast.
Yeah. What else do you have for everybody? We're wrapping things up here. We appreciate everybody tuning in today. We've started doing, for y'all that don't follow us on TikTok, I know I kind of play everything against each other, but if you don't follow us on TikTok, we do TikTok lives of the podcast, of the actual filming. So everything we're doing is live on TikTok, which I think is cool. People see that this isn't cut, this isn't edited, this is the real deal. And if you're on TikTok, follow us on YouTube at Residual Earners. And leave comments, guys. We want more interaction with you guys. We want to hear what's on your mind. Leave comments on the TikTok. We want to have more interactions, give you more value, and the way we do that is whenever you're telling us what you want to hear, things that you want us to talk about. We'd love to do a Q&A, once we get enough questions from you guys, where we're answering questions directly on stuff we can help out with. There's a lot of stuff and a lot of plans for this channel. We have a blast doing it. Like I said on the last podcast, that our reach is getting bigger. We're getting a bunch of subscribers and followers that we don't know anymore. It all started off with kind of our friends and family, but it's really cool to be meeting people, hearing comments about it, how you feel like we're doing, and we enjoy doing this every week.
Hey, man, yeah, subscribe, like, comment. That's a big deal for us. I'll end with this, though, for you parents. I think we've got to keep our priorities straight. One, I think it should be the good Lord. Number two, your family. And, we all want to get ahead, but I'm saying this, if you lose your family over making lots of money, you're going to never be happy, guys. So, yeah, I work hard. And when Jordan was growing up, my gosh, I worked hard, but I would always take time to be at the games. I would get to as many practices as I could. I think as a parent, spend time with your kids. I think that is a huge thing. And when I say spend time with them, I mean really spend time with them. Don't have your mind somewhere else while you're with them. Be with them. It's the good Lord, it's your family. And then, work. I don't think work should be below softball leagues or knitting clubs or whatever else. I think work needs to come because we've got to provide for our families, and we've got a chance in this world, especially here in America, that we can become anything we want to. We can have any success we want to. I believe anything that our mind can conceive and we can believe, we can achieve. I believe that because I'm living proof of that. I came out of the ghettos and taught school. I have no qualifications to have had the success I've had. But if you got a burning desire in your butt to be somebody, you can do that.
Definitely. No, I think that's great for everybody. But thank you all, everyone, for joining in today. Like I said, we love this every week. We love doing it. We love the new setup here in the studio, and
the chairs are more comfortable.
The chairs are more comfortable. I hope the camera angles, everybody's enjoying that, because I have a blast messing around with this stuff, learning and getting better. We always talk about, you got to keep growing as a human being, and this is a new little hobby that I'm enjoying getting to be a part of.
And we want to add value to your lives, guys. That's why we're here.
That's it. Awesome, man.
All right. God bless everybody.
Love you.